Minister Collins, thank you very much for coming to the Dáil tonight to speak on this and discuss this very important issue of the urgent need for a new building at Cavan Institute. As you're probably aware, in recent months, Cavan Institute provided a virtual tour of the very impressive Cavan College Institute, and I don't believe that you or Minister Harris or your department need to be convinced of the legitimacy of the argument for a new building for Cavan Institute. However, this building has been on the buildings list in the Department of Education for almost a decade, and while we've seen fantastic delivery from Minister Foley with new schools being delivered right across the constituency of Cavan Monaghan, and when I say that, I'm thinking of the Holy Family School in Cootehill, where Minister Foley came only last week to see a brand new 12 million investment in that school. We've seen recently the doubling of the capacity for Bailieborough Community School, Virginia College. We've seen the doubling of capacity there, and only last week Minister Foley also announced the doubling of size for Dununree College in Kingscourt. And that same commitment for a new building at Cavan Institute is now required. And it is only a matter of fact that if our secondary schools are doubling in capacity, then our Cavan Institute must be in a position to respond to that need that will be provided and need for further education demands. We know the demands are already there, but as you can imagine, Minister, with the doubling of our secondary schools in size, ultimately that will need a tenfold increase for Cavan Institute to be able to respond to all those kids coming through our secondary schools. Cavan Institute was established in 1985 and has grown to become one of the largest PLC colleges in the country since that time. It's important, Minister Collins, just to recognise and acknowledge the fact that Cavan Institute provides further education for the region. It's not just Cavan Monaghan, it's the whole border region, and that's crucially important. A new building was built in 2006, and that build was for the capacity of 420 students, and as the students moved into that building in 2006, their enrolment was actually at 700. So already you could see the increased size that was needed in the new building itself. Since that time, Cavan Institute have been leasing multiple premises across Cavan Town to deliver 70 courses, both full-time and part-time, and that's how they've had to respond to the fact that their new building from 2006 actually they had outgrown it before they had actually even really moved into it. There's a crucial and critical time now, Minister, because leases are expiring at present, and there is a requirement now from your department to make their commitments in renewing, either to renew the leases with those existing buildings, but as I see it, the Department of Education now needs to make that leap of faith and commit to the new building, because we do not want to see Cavan Institute and ultimately CME2B signing up to leases for the next 10 or 15 years when actually what they really need is a new building. Some of the buildings at Cavan Institute have had to lease for teaching and learning are in a poor state of repair and really not fit for purpose in the times that we live. In 2014 and 15, Cavan Institute was approved for inclusion in the Department of Education's new building, and it was the intention at that time to deliver a new building along with the existing one that was delivered in 2006. So I'm hoping, Minister, that here today you can give us some idea of a time frame. As I said, it's on the buildings list for almost a decade. It has far outgrown. When I say that, the college was built for 420. Today, it stands at an enrolment of over 1,100 students.
Thank you very much, Deputy Smith. Minister Collins, you're welcome.
Thanks very much, Ceann Comhairle. I'd like to thank Deputy Smith for raising this matter, as it gives me the opportunity to set out for the Deputy and the House, and indeed the people of Cavan and the border region, the position with regard to Cavan Institute and further education provision for Cavan Town. I also want to acknowledge at the outset the Deputy's really strong advocacy and her championing of the cause of Cavan Institute and of the region, and I know that she has raised this on a number of occasions here in Dáil Éireann and also directly with myself and my colleague Minister Harris and the department. Cavan Institute was established in 1985 and has provided high-quality education and service to the people of Cavan and beyond ever since. Under the management of Cavan Monaghan Education and Training Board, the Institute has played a central part in the developments in further education through innovative course development and top-class industry standard facilities. The Institute offers courses in business, humanities, creative practices, computing, engineering, healthcare, sport, physical therapies, beauty therapy, hairdressing and science. The Institute was initially set up in Main Street, Cavan, and was formerly known as Cavan College of Further Studies. Cavan Institute now has multiple rented locations across Cavan Town, as Deputy Smith has just outlined, and there are issues in relation to some of those leases expiring. In March of 2012, Cavan Monaghan ETB acquired the former Doon O'Neill Army Barracks, which is an 18-acre site, with a view to refurbishment and adaptations of the site and buildings to create a new further education and training campus. Development of the barracks site will provide an opportunity to centralise further education and training service provision, create opportunities for expansion and eliminate the need for various rented temporary accommodations around Cavan Town. Cavan Monaghan ETB have secured funding to progress the development of a new further education training centre of excellence in supply chain logistics and procurement, supporting business transformation and workforce skills being developed in Cavan in support of the North East region and nationally. The project is part of a €3 million investment for local projects under the Border Enterprise Development Fund, an economic stimulus package established for the Border region and additional funding from Solas and my department. The new training centre will be located at the Cavan Monaghan ETB's Further Education and Training Campus. The project is a direct response to the current industry requirements and emerging skills needs in the region, with a vision to positively impact on the region's competitiveness, job security and employment growth. A capital investment programme in the further education and training sector is also being rolled out. Among the priorities being addressed are funding for infrastructure and equipment to support reskilling and upskilling needs. Cavan Monaghan ETB has requested capital investment to relocate its further education and training operations from Main Street and Cootehill Road to the barracks site, and also for the creation of the Supply Chain Logistics and Procurement Centre of Excellence, both by means of modular units. So Solas recommendations for the capital funding in respect of each project are under active consideration in the department, with a response to issue at the very earliest opportunity. And I'm very conscious of the urgency, and the department is conscious of it, and the Deputy has made that case succinctly here today. So I want to thank the Deputy for again raising the matter, for her advocacy for the project, and to advise that the department is concerned to ensure that the accommodation needs for the further education and training provision in Cavan are addressed.
Thank you, Minister Collins. Deputy Smith.
Thank you very much, Minister, and I appreciate your very comprehensive reply here today. Minister, if you don't mind, I would have to make the comment and the observation that modular units are a temporary measure. I think we all can acknowledge that, and they just won't cut it in terms of leaving Cavan Institute on a building list any longer. The modular units will house music, beauty therapy, makeup artistry, science, IT, sports, leisure, sports therapy programmes, a lot of the practical subjects, Minister, and when I say that the urgency for a permanent building is what is actually required here. As I said, the building that was built in 2006 was for the capacity of 420 students. Cavan Institute is now at 1,100 and growing year on year. I would have to acknowledge the driving force behind that, and that is the principal and her distinguished principalship of Cavan Institute, Anne-Marie Lacey, a huge driving force both for her students, for her staff and for the parents of the students who attend that college. And we see the terrific work currently underway with John Carney, the Chief Executive of Cavan Institute, in the delivery of ETB schools right across the county and the constituency. And he needs that exact type of investment, that exact type of commitment to be able to deliver what is needed for Cavan Institute. So, Minister, can I ask you here today, number one, will you commit to coming to actually visit Cavan Institute? Because I am a big believer in seeing is believing. And while it is wonderful that we have that 18-acre site at the Army Barracks, we need to develop it, and we need to develop it to top-class facilities, which is nothing less than what Cavan Institute deserves, what the staff deserve, what the students deserve. They are providing the wraparound services for student support, and that again is in a sort of a disjointed operation in the sense they're in different buildings all around the town, and that cannot continue. Can you only imagine how that college could flourish if it had the right infrastructure? So, number one, will you commit to come to see Cavan Institute? And number two, please examine any further modular buildings. That just won't cut it. They need their new building.
Thank you, Deputy Smith. Minister.
Thanks, Ceann Comhairle. I'd be very happy to take up the invitation by Deputy Smith to visit Cavan and to visit the barrack site and indeed any other sites which she deems appropriate in order to press the case and to help assist in the delivery of what's required. And just to put on the record that the development of the barrack site for Cavan Institute will enable delivery of a range of PLC's programmes, including but not limited to music, production, science, beauty, sports, animal care, sports therapy and general skills programmes. And the new Further Education and Training Centre of Excellence in Supply Chain, Logistics and Procurement will focus on areas such as robotics, 3D printing, Internet of Things, blockchain technology, big data analytics and drone technology, all of which to include obviously canteens, sports facilities, open office space will also be available on campus to all learners and staff, all of which are required in modern society and to enable modern industry. And just to say that Solas had originally approved the modular units, which the Deputy has mentioned, in 2019, and the Cavan Monaghan ETB has been working towards its development since then. Unfortunately, COVID-19 and the associated construction restrictions, coupled with the global steel shortage, has significantly impacted the delay of this project. So the current target date for completion is the end of this year, 2021. So I hope that will be of information and of assistance to the Deputy, and I'd be glad to accompany her on a visit to Cavan. Thank you.